Roads of Avalon is the definitive best lethal zone to gather. Roads of Avalon is where you are going to make the most money. At least, that's the claim. Let's hop on our mount, drop in, and find out if it's true. Personally, I think it's entirely dependent on the zone you get popped into. This one, not so great. Got some 4-2 hide as a treasure, so let's go grab that real quick, and then see where these portals lead to. I'm not gonna lie, I actually really enjoy the tier 4 Roads of Avalon zones, because if you can find a 4-2 aspect, or if you get lucky enough to find a 4-3 aspect, you've made your profit right then and there. Alright, we have a couple options on where to go deeper. I'm going to take the western portal first. We'll check where that drops. Hopefully it drops into a good zone. Worst case, we backtrack out here. Four one's not worth it. I'm not going to bother with it too much. But sometimes stopping at these little treasures, that could be worthwhile. Alright, so to help you guys understand how I know which roads I'm going into, this tells you exactly what you need to know. So, innermost circle tells you if it's for a solo player, a duo player, or a group player. You're going to see the group ones on the big 20-person portals. Most of the time, you're going to see these single dashes. The middle ring here tells you the tier of the zone you're going to be in. Now, most common, you're going to see 4s, 6s, and 8s. 8s are going to be gold portals or any zone that has a Breck portal in it. Those will be tier 8 zones. This is going to be a tier 6. You could tell by the number of dots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then this tells you the type of zone. So this, there's probably going to be like one other portal. It's just a straight shot through. Dead end. This means it's a hideout zone. Not entirely sure what this symbol means. This is blue zone, yellow zone, red zone, and black zone. And then this is a crossroads. So there's going to be a bunch of different portals. The zone we're in right now would be identified as a crossroads, most likely. So as I suspected, 1 or 2 ways out, likely both leading deeper. Yep, so I have my pick. And we'll probably go with the southern one because the eastern one's been used. One of the big benefits of gathering in the roads is your primary source of resources is coming from aspects. And aspects, you gather them faster. And they always have full stacks. So if I'm roaming on one of these off-roads and I come across an aspect, it will always have the full set of stacks it can. Whereas when you're gathering nodes in the open world, there's always the likelihood that they're going to have less than full. I just realized those were 2 swords. That's on me for not paying attention. So only a very few sets can take on the 2 swords solo, if any, these days, because of the change they made to health regen and boost to their damage. Now, the most common ones that I've heard are the Druid Staff and the one-handed daggers, mostly because of its sustain. Now, just because there's multiple 2 swords doesn't mean it isn't worth checking the rest, because occasionally you will find a 1 sword soloable. Oh. We're in trouble. Now, the reason I pick up all of them and then trash them is so they just don't get in the way when I'm trying to grab the new stuff. Because those little pouches will stack on top of each other, and it will just make it a pain to try to grab everything. So again, to recap, this is going to be a solo, dead end, or an exit zone, and a tier 8. So this means this one's actually going to have a Breck portal in it. So as you can see, it has a Brazilian portal. These ones are actually very rare. So if nobody else has been in here, we can take advantage of this. And unfortunately, it looks like somebody's already been in here. Tier 8 stone may not be as strong as the other materials, but it's still strong. And as always, check the perimeter of the gathering spots. You never know which boss is going to be standing on the edge. With great sadness that I say that this zone was already picked through. Not so great for us. Roads just aren't taking care of us today. We still have about a quarter left on our first pie, though. Plenty of time to turn it around. There was a death at the blue chest here, so we do have to be careful. There are other players in this zone and fighting. Now I can tell there's less than 8 players because there's no red circle. The threshold for the Roads of Avalon's red circle is 8. Now, it's most likely that guy is scouting for the people that were fighting earlier. We're not going for the treasure. Now, it seems like my only options are to go out to either of these black zone portals, but what I'm actually going to do is, once I'm done in this zone, I'm going to backtrack back to the Brazilian portal zone and see if any of the tier 8 mobs, or the aspects, have respawned. That is a full 5 out of 5 bear. And now we need to move, because that's a hostile. So, like I said, we are going to backtrack towards the tier 8 zone. I'm getting this treasure because it's still here after all this time, and an extra 29 ticks of tier 6 ore can't hurt the profit. If only any of these were 4.3. That would have been delicious. Fingers crossed that at least something has respawned in here. The portals haven't been used in a decent-ish amount of time. There's no other way in from the overworld. Dreams really do come true. $19 of that actually got us 34. Fantastic. This is going to take a second. And then just like last time, check the outer edge. Alright, nothing out there. Now we'll go check out that stone spot where we found our first T8 stone golem. Or we'll get this real quick. I will come back for that tier 8 wood. I saw it. Let's hope in the next, like, 5 minutes, an aspect spawns in. That would be great. We are going to stay in this zone because it's easy access to the Brazilian portal, with such little time left on our pie. But let's go back to the small wood spot and see if another aspect is respawned. Or maybe that enchanted fiber node that we saw. Wouldn't that be nice? Unlucky, but I think the best course of action is to head back 2 minutes and 40 seconds early. Not missing out on too much. We will throw everything we have into the stockpile. So back to that original question. Roads of Avalon is the definitive gathering zone where you can make the best profit. Is that fact or fiction? You let me know before we do the official depot calculation. Was just checking that crossroad, because occasionally aspects like to hang out in that crossroad. Or not aspects, but mobs. And they could have been enchanted. So it was worth a shot. So quite the successful run. Honestly, I thought that Roads wasn't going to take care of us today, but it turned itself around and we made quite a bit of profit. So let's go depot and see how much exactly. So starting out in our one bank, we have 54.4 million. And in our second bank, we have 5.6 million, which brings us to 60 million even. I think a few things depreciated in value. We were sitting at 60.01 at the end of last video. So 60 million even, not too bad. Now let's put the tools away so we can see how much we walked away with from this. So we made 1.75 million off of this session profit run. So let's get everything depoted where it belongs. So 60 million even, plus the 1.75 million from this run, brings our stockpile total to a grand number of 61.75 million. A very nice run. Unfortunately, we couldn't extend our 2 mil per run streak that we had the last two recordings, but 1.75 is still not bad. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of the video in the comments down below. Don't forget to like it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hype it if you're watching on mobile. And I will see you guys next time.